Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to be back here. Very welcome if you're here for the first time, if that's for somebody the case. My name is Nirmala and I'm based in the north of Germany. I live here in a quite big eco-village with 200 people and teach here and in other Buddhist centers in Germany embodied meditation and also yoga and just embodiment, which I think we cannot separate from meditation. When I was at the Moulin, the center where Martin lives and which he set up, and where I have been the first time just when they a month after they arrived there, I think. So this has been, I don't know, maybe 18 years ago or something like that. So I was back there and 4 years ago, and I went with him on a walk, and I was really I had a difficult time, and I was sharing that with him. And after he asked me if I would like to teach on Sangha Life, I was really surprised and also smiling because, I had the image, like, if ever, like, he would invite me to teach here, that would be if I would be at my best, like, would be like feeling really good and really settled, but I wasn't. And so what I want to say with that, it's so much about being vulnerable and being honest with what is there in our contacts, in our relationships. So just to give a short overview, because we go into the topic of today, the topic of the week is mindfulness of the nervous system. And today I want to look especially closer to our nervous system and relationships and into the dynamics in relationships, close relationships. And so I will talk about 15 minutes and then I will guide you through half an hour of meditation. You're always invited to take my offerings and invitations or to just do your own practice and like really go with what is juicy for you. And at the end, we will have about 15 minutes for a question and answer time. And you can type in question in capital letters in the chat. And then I will hopefully respond to that. Yeah. Janae is sharing a few lines from Rupi Kaur, and I can really recommend also this poetry. And I like to start with a poetry from Rainer Maria Rilke. So he said, once the realization is accepted that even between the closest people, infinite distances exist, a marvelous living side by side can grow up for them if they succeed in loving the expanse between them, which gives them the possibility of always seeing each other as a whole and before an immense sky. Relationships are difficult and often we don't see each other as a whole before an immense sky. I think Martin was able to do that. Then back in the fields of the Moulin. Relationships are difficult because our nervous system was built in relationships, and it still gets its information based from our experience with our caregivers and the people who were around us when we were young. It also gets its information from the environment, outer environment, and from the body, but also from the experiencing in the past. And in our close relationships, we can get so triggered and find ourselves being a completely different person than we might have just been before while meditating on the cushion, right? So this week I pointed out how beneficial it can be to know each other's nervous systems, to really get close to that. Because we are all empathic mirrors for our fellow human beings. And when we are in an imbalanced state ourselves, the empathic mirror becomes cloudy. When our nervous system is agitated, we look through colored glasses, and those glasses, they are colored by our old pictures and past experiences. We assume then where the other person is at, and that's where we react to. So nothing to do with what is really there. And as soon as we come into contact with people, actually, our nervous system begins to coordinate. So there is something there. There's a nervous system there, and it is autonomous, and it does its thing. And this is why we are so receptive to the moods of other people. And society as a whole has no methods for really dealing well with each other. We don't have methods for regulating ourselves and to be together in a regulated state of our nervous system. And the problems in our world, they arise from the fact that we are not able to make contact at a deep level. And all the techniques we have to deal with a highly activated nervous systems, they're not accepted in our society. Like shaking, breathing out loudly, breathing out deeply, making noises, making sounds, humming, laying on the ground, even like sitting at a tree or hugging at a tree in the city is weird in a way. We had to suppress things that would have been liberated for us as children, like crying, screaming, fighting, moving around freely. And this is stored in our system. So as soon as we showed our distress as a child and were perhaps aggressive, our parents' alarm systems went off and they tried to suppress our behavior. Sometimes very direct and also often very, very subtle. And I just so much want to see it as this is just what happens. It's just nervous system reacting to nervous systems and just their nervous system. There's no fault there. And it's not bad that these things happen. It's just evolutionary like this, and we can go beyond, like we can go further with it. It's not the end of the story. But as children we don't make choices, and yet we choose unconsciously. And these decisions often determine our lives without even knowing that we have decided for or against something. And one of these unconscious decisions that shape our lives here and now is the decision to protect our dignity or to give up ourselves in order to maintain a bond. So there are two main types of decisions which were created in the past, but we still live from it in our close relationships. And I was mentioning that on the first day, there are like two types of how we relate in relationships mainly, and we can be also mix. So one is that we just take ourselves out. We sacrifice a bond with our caregivers and save our autonomy. And as adults, we then continue to avoid real contact and intimacy and suffer from a lack of connection. We protect our dignity and choose autonomy. And the other option is exactly the opposite. We sacrifice our authenticity and give up ourselves so that we can save the bond with our parents. And even as adults, we are not very aware of our needs and we really can't express our needs. We want to merge with the ideal partner. And we have given up our dignity to get some affection from our caregivers then and from our partners today. We still have these patterns in us. And what I want to invite is just be aware of it. There are strategies in all of us to avoid getting into really deep contact, into contact with our wounds and with our shadows. And this is so important, because if we separate our wakefulness, our awareness, our compassion from our shadows, they're left alone and they're just doing their own thing. So really need to embody everything. And you can check for yourself, like which, when you have an argument with your partner, your best friend, or your colleague, are you more likely to put contact and relationship above your own needs and just try to save the solution, and maybe call that even spiritual and wise? And it has been wise in the past when we were young. It enabled our survival. Or do you withdraw and become aggressive or angry? As adults, we still suppress our need for our own boundaries or our need for closeness. So we avoiding can be fine on the cushion, and in relationship, we are avoiding this heavy duty stuff to come up through other losing ourselves, the contact with ourselves, or withdrawing. And what we experienced in the path is really not relevant to our path. What we suffer from is really the here and now. And we create it again and again. We're still unconsciously and really unconsciously telling ourselves the story that the world is not a safe place and we are not safe in the world. We associate real closeness, close proximity to people with danger. And this makes our world the place it is, with all the goodness in there and all the beauty. So the important thing is not to see each other as evil, but simply to seize that these nervous systems are struggling to survive autonomously. And that we have to work together to clear the field. We have to look at this together. We have to get to know our nervous systems. I think this is kind of knowledge which has to go out there in kindergarten. In different words, of course. And really putting the emphasis on the beauty, on the relaxation. Otherwise, our nervous system, they start up dynamics with each other that resemble a devil's dance, just going round and round, and we stay lonely in our close relationships with unsatisfied needs. And how can I manage to stay in contact, to really stay in relationship with everything which is there for me, without running away, but without blocking off contact, and also without losing myself and the connection to my own needs? How can I do that, to not go away, to allow fear to be there, to allow to express if there is rejection in me, if there's aversion in me, stay with that in contact. If I'm experiencing disgust or whatever, like everything we don't want to show up with, how can I stay in relationship with my stress without withdrawing and without trying to save the situation and make it all fine and happy and well and nice? We need to make ourselves raw and vulnerable. Yeah. And there, like, we can, for the type of person who's kind of more the attachment type, trying to care for others all the time rather for herself, I just say, or their selves. Difficult for me in English. So it's really living about what feels unpleasant. We need to go new paths. We, like, this type of person needs to stay alone and not immediately want to appease, but feel what's going on, feel the fear of loss which is there? Where do I learn to stay in touch with myself, not to rush into many different contexts in the social environment? Because superficial contexts do not create a deep bond. And that's where we are losing ourselves and we cannot feel ourselves and we are avoiding ourselves. And then this other type, the autonomy type of person, can learn really to build up a little bit more contact. Maybe we start like on a really low level with the woman who sells the bread in the bakery. Stay there, stay with your insecurity, with your shame. Mostly for this type of person, it feels more comfortable on the meditation pillar, but this pattern doesn't show up there. And then we can't, like, it doesn't show up so extreme, I would say. It's more likely to show up in relationships. And that's where we act out. So how can we come out of our comfort zone into social contexts and stay in contact with our insecurities? And yet still enter the worlds of others on a regular basis, even if it feels wrong and overwhelming, and to show ourselves with hurt and with fear. So in Germany, there is an author, his name is Norbert Gopal Klein, and he writes a lot about this, and I can really recommend his book, The Vagus Nerve, but I have looked it up. I don't think there's an English translation. So, and just one more thing, like it's really listening to each other, be as raw as possible, and getting close to what we don't like. So when we are in a mood of, I so much dislike when you're coming home late, I so much dislike if you do this and that, then check in. What do you wish for? Where's the longing? There's a longing for connection. There's a longing for safety, and really feel that and bring it into contact without just wanting to save the situation and without withdrawing, being there with us. So we all really need to heal our relationships. This is where we create the world of tomorrow. This is where we create a safe environment for children because they need relaxed nervous systems. Yeah. So, time for our meditation practice. Just get yourself comfortable. Again, I would like to invite the shaking at the beginning because this is also touching on heavy-duty stuff, and it's just good to shake the body. And if you feel like, oh, this is nothing for me, you just leave it. But the invitation is to move around with your cells and to sigh and to put the emphasis on the exhalation with an open mouth. And if I would have enough space here in front of the computer, I would get up. I will get up for a few minutes just to move this energy around, which is there just now. And really shaking from your pelvis, shaking your knees, shaking your ankles, your hands, your fingers, without losing contact to yourself, right? You are still there with everything which is going on for you. Maybe annoyance, maybe doubt, maybe resistance, shame, agitation, lust, all this. Keep it there and shake your body, just moving the cells. Maybe making sounds, sighing or making loud sounds, moving the mouth. So maybe you feel it's already enough for you, then you can sit down or lay down. And if you want, you can keep doing this like for another 10, 15 minutes. And then just feel where it brings you. So And if you're sitting or laying and feeling, wow, there's a lot of activation, you could bring your fingers below the collarbones and press them there into the tissue a bit. Or also, what I find really helpful, bringing one hand on the chest and one hand on the forehead. And it really needs staying there with the hands for 5 to 10 minutes. And then it can really support you to feel the body sinking. Maybe you can feel already now when the hands are on the body, how there's a bit of letting go of tension, releasing into the ground. Also bringing one hand on the forehead and one hand on the neck could be appropriate for you, or having both hands on the upper part of your thighs. Inviting the exhalation to get longer, and now allowing the body to sink into this exhalation. And maybe visualizing a waterfall which is entering the top of your head and washing down through the brain, through the neck, through the shoulders, the upper body, the lower body, through the kidneys, through the pelvis, through the legs, through the feet, into the earth. And you're very welcome to keep your eyes open, to bring your awareness on sounds, or to look around, keeping a soft gaze on something which feels comfortable or easy. Maybe even moving your hands into the space around you could be supportive to get a shift into the nervous system. So really dropping down into the earth element, with the earth element in your body, allowing the bones to drop down, the scalp, the shoulder bones, and the bones in your arms, elbows, and hands. Allowing the chest bone to drop into the space between the shoulder blades. Allowing the pelvis to become really heavy. Big bones there. Big heavy bones in your thighs. Dropping down the bones in the knees and the lower legs and the feet. Just getting a sense where there is heaviness in the body, and also which parts of the body do feel light. Dropping down into the earth element, with the earth element in our bodies. And anytime you touch a place where it feels juicy, alive, or open, just stay there. Drink in that what is good. Drink in with your cells. And being aware of the fire element, the sun in your body while sitting or laying under the sun. Being aware of heat in your body, being aware where there's more coolness, where it's warm. And being aware of the air element in your body through pulsing, tingling, vibrating sensations in your body. How is the air element in your head, in your arms, in your chest, in the belly, in the pelvis, the legs and the feet. being in contact with your breathing, feeling the breath in the whole body breathing in, the whole body breathing out. Being with the air element in your body, lying, sitting, standing or walking in the air element around your body. And being in contact with the water element in your body, with all which is fluid. Getting in contact with the places where the water element is very obvious. And also with all the blood and the fluidity in the tissues, the fascia. Being with the water element in your body, in the water element around your body, with the streams and the rivers and the water above and underneath. And being in contact with the element of space. For that you could breathe in the space between the lungs and the heart. And with the exhalation, allowing the whole body to become a bit more transparent, wide open. The inhalation, breathing in into an area of spaciousness, maybe the space between the heart and the lungs, in your body, maybe in your belly, maybe in your pelvis. And with the exhalation, just allowing consciousness to move through the body and open the body wide, spacious. Staying with any sensations, floating with any sensations which feel alive and juicy. May life be an exchange and free flow of energy between us humans. May life within and around be a safe place. May our practice support all living beings. May there be peace on earth. Thank you for being here, really taking your time to make the transfer from a more formal type of meditation into the real big meditation hall, your house, your flat, this world. Go gently. I think it's really supportive if we go gently in all kinds of transfers. Bringing also awareness here. And I love us being together in this stream of giving and receiving to make this platform and the teachings and the Sangha possible. And we need all to support this. And you are doing by showing up, which is amazing. And also there are financial costs involved in this platform, and as I understand, they're quite high. So it also needs us together to keep this platform running. So if you would like to contribute financial to keep Sangha Life going, you could make a donation. It's very much appreciated. I put the link in the chat, and also part of this donation goes to myself as my income, and I thank you so much for this. The money always comes on the account later, like sometimes a few weeks later, and I never can thank you, but it's always like such a joy to know that it's been really given just because you want to give and not because you have to give. Yeah. So I wonder if there are any questions. Okay, there's a question from Wendy. I was diagnosed a few years ago with dysregulation of the autonomic nervous system triggered by a virus. This causes various symptoms, including fatigue and breathlessness. Do you have any suggestions? Yeah, thank you, Wendy, for asking. Yeah, because like when things like what you said, fatigue and breathlessness come up, it's very, very hard to find a way into a practice which is supportive. It's like can be like an endless searching around. And also here, it's the same. kind of balm, I would say, we can apply on our wounds. It's really looking for the good, looking for where there is spaciousness in your life, where there is a bit more of energy, going to the places which do feel better. And this really does something to the nervous system. So if you're laying down and you feel really, really tired and really not able to get up, what about finding some aliveness in your body? Aliveness maybe in the big toe, or aliveness in your arm, and really bringing your attention there as gently as possible, and you will feel how your awareness is moving back into stories which come up with that, which is like so like just a normal thing which happens there with the worries, with everything, and then you can bring your awareness again into something which does feel alive. There's like a pendulation in our system, and this will can really release something and show up, make that something new can show up. It's really about walking the pathways which we haven't walked so far, and I really recommend that doing this like 80% of our practice, or 80 to 90% of our practice, going on the pathways we haven't walked before, like to really get into contact with something new on a cellular level. Yeah. And really go gently with this. It's a hard thing. Yeah. Thank you, Wendy, for your question, and for all of you for your vulnerability. Like some of you have really shown up here in the chat and showing themselves within that the nervous system is agitated, and it's just what we need more. And it's really like, I'm not like today, I was really not intentionally not using like so much Dharma vocabulary, because it can be supportive to apply stuff from a different direction, from a different view, right? It's about the wise and for you good way of effort. Also for you, Wendy, like what is wise, what is appropriate? So there's another question. You talked about differentiating between being with others and losing sense of self. I often find that I do lose my sense of self with others. Any suggestions? I loved your sessions. Thank you very much. Just also good for me to hear where it lands. Difficult somehow not to see you. So yeah, this is just the suggestion would be to feel like to really differentiate in yourself, like where am I going into contact to not feel myself, and can I learn to be more with myself rather than going in contact, and also while being in contact, feeling the stress in your nervous system and focusing on the good, like just really looking into someone else's eyes and seeing maybe the shining in there, because our mind makes up a story that we are not safe, and make stories what the other person might be at. But in fact, we really don't know. And you can ask and then believe, right? And not make the story keep going in terms of, yeah, they're just saying this because they want to be nice. No, really believe the people around you. And also doing gentle steps, like holding a hand of someone else, could be supportive. Like I see people sometimes having, like in the workshops I do and in the trainings, even in retreat sometimes, like that people have like an object with them, which is kind of giving a bit release to the nervous system, a stone or a teddy bear or something like that. So, and it's really just, so the suggestion here would be here, and it takes time because it is stored in our body. So the body really needs time to learn something new. The body is a slow learner. So to go with your intention, what is your intention there to be among people? Like, what do you want there? Is this the wise way to learn what you need to learn about social contact? Or could there be another way? What do you need to learn in social contact in terms of your own boundaries? Like, yeah, and as more relaxed the nervous system will be, your own nervous system, just while being with yourself, the more settled and grounded you will be in contact with other people. And take time, be gentle, slowing down. Tim is asking a question. Do you have advice for reminding oneself and activating the meditative awareness in the busy moments of daily life? So the very busy moments, Tim, like running to catch a bus. There I would bring the awareness there afterwards. Oh yeah, there I was again, having to run to the bus, having to pack my stuff really fast. So what could have helped me so that the next time you can do something with your clock, your alarm clock, a watch, like giving more space to things. And that's what I also mean by leaving space to the transformal moments, like the transfers from being here in our formal meditation practice. And then what happens at 9 o'clock if I end the session? Like, what will you do? Can we invite slowing down? And this will bring a shift, like, and this will, like, we are kind of glued together, like in the busy moments, everything in us is glued together. We don't have space between, like, to feel what's going on, right? So the suggestion is there to slow down in the moments where you can slow down. So the whole glued things together will get more and more and more spaciousness and taking time to rest. Like what I'm offering here, the laying down meditation, and I offer that a lot in retreats. Also, when you fall asleep in the laying down meditation, if you would do that this afternoon, 4:30, for example, if you would fall asleep and you fall asleep every day, that it means there needs to be a change in your lifestyle. Because in this very busy moment, there is our nervous system already so activated, then just try to feel this activation, try to feel the agitation, the tension there. And then as soon as you can, focus on the good, focus on what is, because as more and more relaxation our system gets, the more likely it is that these intense waves will become a bit transparent as well and fluid. And our awareness doesn't always have to be like a micro awareness. It can be like really zoomed out and just like, oh, okay, there I go again, like extremely busy. Yeah. Taking time, taking things slowly. Also answering, talking to people slowly. So tomorrow I want to talk about co-regulation, like to look a bit deeper into how can we really do this to co-regulate ourselves. yeah. So thank you so much for joining today. I hope it is useful for you, and I'm really happy to be here also tomorrow with you. Looking forward to that, and yeah, stay with the good or with that which feels better than the rest. Lots of love. Bye.